Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Call the roll, please, ma'am.
You see the doggy on the car?
Yes.
Mr. Bento? Mr. Cody?
Yes.
Ms. Durfee?
Here?
Mr. Mello?
Here.
Mr. Leonard is absent. Mr. Souza?
Here.
Ms. Janik is here. Ms. Epke? Ms. Cook?
Here.
Mrs. Odell?
Yeah.
And Mrs. Driggs.
Here.
Minutes.
Okay, do the minutes for which meeting again?
March 10th.
March 10th.
I have a couple of corrections to those minutes.
Okay.
On item number 10, the increase is approximately not 6.7, but 14%, according to the information that he gave us. And I would end the period there because, just leave it at that, because it's not really due to negotiations.
And should we put in there the new number that he got and told us?
I can do that, but I had 6.7%. I thought that's what the trust, that's where we ended up. I thought it was a 14%.
It started at 14%, then with the money that they have in
They applied,
escrow there or
yeah.
whatever, it came down to 6.7.
6.7.
That's the way I understood it.
Actually, it's closer to 8.
But he gave
But
us,
I'd just leave it without getting into the, he applied the $100,000 dividend,
Yeah, it is 8, Louise, you're right.
yeah.
could I, as long as we're just on there, I'd like
Right,
to
so it's
add
8?
this other number in here because I want to make a motion later on to use the number he gave us.
Give me that number.
So he provided us with a new $2.3 million request. Was the final number, and that was after the council had already voted, so.
Final number?
Yes, they had another person opt out, so the final total came to 2308511.
Which is in
Oh,
the.
yeah, sorry,
Yeah,
yes.
but it was sort of the healthcare increase, the health insurance increase was 14, as his material said.
Right,
Okay, and then, so I just left it there.
Yeah.
it was an increase of 14%, and then we used something,
He used these, what he called it, tax stabilization premium.
The
It's
premium,
the dividend
right.
from the trust, and applied it this year and not
Right.
to this coming year. So, and that was roughly $100,000. But I think the important thing is the increase went up 14%.
14%.
The
Impact
other-
of large rate
The other
increase of 14%.
item that I had is, it was a report from this discussion with regard, it said that Laura Epke had made a motion that we,
Right, that was right up at the top, that's number 1 or 2.
no, it's number 13.
Oh,
Wait a minute.
yes,
I
Yes.
think that was not, I think that was me who suggested. Yeah.
it sure wasn't me.
Yeah, I didn't think you'd like that issue. I'm sorry, that was it.
That's the one I had noticed also. Actually, there was something else up at the top that I wanted to.
Well, the L was correct.
Yeah, the L was good.
No, that was the one I.
That was it?
Yeah, that was.
And with that, I'll make a motion that the minutes be approved as amended.
I'll second that.
Any other discussion? All in favor? All opposed?
I abstain.
I abstain.
2 abstentions? Motion passes.
Is Matt gonna be here tonight or no?
I haven't heard from him.
He's supposed to be here.
I thought he was.
In fact, he asked us if we were coming tonight.
Did he know if it was, that it was 6:30 maybe?
Unfortunately, when you said yes, he decided not to.
No, he asked me to be here. I told him I was gonna be here anyway.
Yeah, I knew.
I usually come to all of them.
Can certainly start with them.
Okay, capital planning and budget.
Capital planning
Oh,
and
we
budget.
can't start with them.
That's a hard one to,
Well, I'll make a motion to switch that item on the agenda, to hold off on that agenda item until Mr. Wojcik arrives.
which one do you want to do instead?
Proceed on to
Number-
go through the budget.
Number 2 or 3?
I don't have it in front of me.
No, the commence review
It's
of the
under 2,
town-
but it
it's
says commencement
review.
review of the town council
Right.
approved
Can't see.
17 budget.
Okay, those capital planning, new revenue and expenditures, and
When should we bring
And then
that up?
commence
then commence
review.
review of the budget, so.
Can we do the revenue and
So,
expense?
so
If we
the
have
revenue
the
and
new
expenditures?
revenue, if we have those, go for it.
I have,
I had a question on the revenues.
I do too.
Well, go ahead. And I'm not certain that can be answered as yet, but I'll lay out my question.
I've asked several times for a copy of these.
We need to-
So I'm
do we
just
need
gonna
to
come
vote on
lean
that
over your
revenue?
shoulder.
Why doesn't everybody get a
Do we have
copy
a
of the meeting
revised-
rather than coming to
We had
the
a motion to
meeting?
hold.
We have a revised revenue,
I do.
It came out in the,
It came in an
it
email.
forwarded, yeah, a revised was forwarded just the other day.
well, one of the questions I had resulted from what Dave Perry had handed out at the last meeting, which was,
Yes.
okay?
Yeah.
And if you look at that and look at the approvals, I had wondered whether the fees generated by building permits or inspection fees would sort of, whether they put the two things together in their estimates with regard to revenue.
Now, if I remember correctly, didn't we ask Mr. Wojcik to ask the building inspector to take another look at those numbers?
Well, we
last
didn't,
week?
yeah, we did, but whether we didn't refer him to this, I don't know.
Oh.
Okay, so I'm willing to let that was one of the issues.
We couldn't talk to the code enforcement guy, he was sick, so.
Yeah, maybe he had the flu.
Louise, it might be FYI, Jim went to some kind of a meeting last night. They talked about that, was that Hawkins there? It's Hawkins?
We didn't really touch on that specifically.
Oh.
It was about, no, that's totally different.
Okay.
This subject matter was how permits are pulled and such like that. No, it didn't really go into Hawkins specifically.
The other, I'm operating without information here, but what do the planning and recording fees look like? Have they been, do they reflect these development numbers? And like,
Well,
it's a
that's a-
hard number to judge.
That is a question. The impact fees, for example, they were budgeted 65 last year. We've collected 2860, and they project 35,000 for the year ending 17.
Now, are those, what are impact, those building,
That's a flat fee for every house, depending on the size of the development.
Yep.
Okay, but if you look at this list that
Yeah.
Dave Perry handed out, the impact fees would be, yes, it would seem.
Yes,
Because they're not, but those are not far enough ahead. Do they pay the impact fee in the beginning?
Yes,
you do. It's attached to the beginning.
the
Yeah.
certificate of occupancy.
But how many years have
But-
some of those been on the books?
Well, some are, you're right to raise that question, and maybe that is, it is approved, not yet recorded, approved, not yet recorded.
Right,
So,
yeah.
she doesn't, Kate did this, so she didn't put the year of approval. Cottrell Farms, that was, I know was approved several years ago.
Right.
But they're beginning to,
It's almost
Well-
built out, really.
Does
Yeah.
anyone have a June 2015
It's amazing. it's
year-to-date
really
revenue
this old.
report?
Not that well built. They're not that well built.
2015,
June 2015?
we're in 16,
Correct.
okay.
I have the
You have the
budget committee thing from last year, would that have it? Yeah.
Well, it's March 2016, June 2015 would give us a full year. Let's see, and the projected revenues that were provided to us.
Now, these updated, or is the updated, how many months are these updated, Louise, do you know? 7 months?
What was the actual
the updated.
fiscal year 2015? No, that's not,
You know,
This was last
it,
this is budget.
the ones I have are
Budget.
at
It's budgeted.
131, the actual. That's on the revenue sheet. The actual is 131, 2016. So it'd be a month and some weeks behind.
Right, but I guess I'm curious to see,
That looks like they're not gonna make the 65,000, right? I mean,
Well,
the actual will be in 26.
hold on.
if the actual is 20,860
26,820.
Yeah,
and was budgeted for the fiscal year at 65,560,
Yeah.
then yes.
But that's 7 months. Less
Then
months
you-
left.
Exactly.
Then,
They're gonna be short.
exactly,
Yeah.
that's my point. That's my point.
That's why I wanna see what the actual was for the fiscal year of 2015.
Yeah.
And
I don't have that.
I got a lot of papers, but I don't think I have that one.
You have that in your pile of homework.
Yeah.
But I focused on that, but the building permits, the inspection fees, budgeted, they seem very conservative, given what this is, so.
And the recording fees are, the recording fees are projected to stay the same.
Well, like I say, I think that's because the
Roughly.
years are all together, because this is actual numbers, like you say, they're a month behind.
Well, if you look at the recording fees, is account 4257, it's the third from the top on the impact fee paid.
Yeah, that stays the same.
So they're projecting 150,000 for next year, the same as was projected for this year,
And so far, they have 98 as of the end of February.
98. Right, but it's more than just, if there's refinancing, right, Louise?
Yeah.
Refinancing, anything that goes on, then it goes into recording fees.
Yep. And the same as the stamp tax. These could
So-
be conservative. Now, maybe there's something to be said for being that conservative, but
Well, and mortgage rates aren't going down, so it's not like everybody's gonna be refinancing next year.
no, refinancings, I think, have
Yes.
somewhat dried.
So it could be that's keeping it at a level, 150,000.
But what's your issue about the impact fees?
Um,
It seems very conservative.
It does seem conservative. Now, given what this is, you know, as you look at final plan approved, final plan approved and recorded.
It's just
Sandy Wood,
ridiculous, we
71
can't make a
dwelling
copy.
units. I don't know, it's not something I can answer, I just,
Well, can we make a note and put it in the minutes to ask the town administrator to review the building inspector fees and the impact fees
yep,
with the building inspector and the treasurer?
4233 plus 4, yeah, fine.
And maybe ask for some actual revenue report.
You said it was one, is that what's already there?
So,
So they're gonna add to it.
Or maybe that's total, all that, there's a lot of open space. Have you driven through there?
Now, why,
In the back there, there's a lot up in the back there, it's still
Louise,
open.
why at the bottom of that same page, impact fee page, why would municipal court fees go from 65 to 30?
I had a very similar question.
There was something to do last year with the, I forget, was it the seatbelt
Was it?
tickets or something that was changing this year that was coming, that not all the fees were going to the town or something like that? I know I'd have to look at my notes from last year, but I know
Oh,
that,
it was big.
They're gonna take our.
Laura, I have, but revenue as of 2/29, end of February.
Right,
2016.
2016.
Yeah.
Well, it's good to have some actual revenues. What is the account number on municipal court at the bottom of the page?
4554?
Yes.
What did you want, Laura, what was your question? I'm sorry.
I'd like to know
Why it's down for,
municipal court fees, I got it. No, we only have one year.
Again, it's,
It's already January.
it's only, yeah.
No,
No,
we
it's
projected
21.
65,000. The projection for this current fiscal year was 65,000 because of some reason. So logic would, that this current fiscal year was an unusual year, so that the prior year would be lower. And that we're returned to norm.
Maybe he knows. Maybe he knows the answer to these questions.
Let's bombard him right away.
Let me see what I can do for you. My apologies. I made a very late decision in the day to attend the Economic Development Commission meeting at 5:30. I was not at liberty to leave until I was finished
Okay, sounds fine.
doing what I had to do.
You have to make those choices.
Sometimes you have to.
municipal court fees. We're in the weeds. We budgeted 65,000.
We're talking about revenues.
Last year, and they're projecting revenues this year of 30,000, so we were wondering what was making that difference.
What I
Phil
think,
thinks it's something about seatbelts going
there's
correct.
some law that changed, that with the fee schedule didn't all go to the town anymore or something, if I'm not mistaken.
This is a fascinating thing. When you have a grant money that's tied to your seatbelt enforcement, you get a lot of tickets. When the grant money is no longer available, activity begins to fall off. That's not a good way to illustrate the capacity of your organization.
Only as good as the incentive.
No, just, oh, come on, everybody's using their seatbelt now, so we're just not writing that many more tickets. Human nature changed on a dime. I'm sorry, I'm going to be very sarcastic. After that meeting, I've got nothing left. But yes, that is, if you look here, well, I think you already did, or I did. If you look at the police chief's monthly reports, and you notice that every single offense is broken out into a separate category, and there are activity levels reported, you will notice a profound trend with traffic violations being down about 50%. I think that's a good number. Oh, well, I think it's a lousy number, but in terms of being an accurate number, I'm more comfortable with 30 than with 65.
And can you just repeat again the reason why the grant was tied to the seatbelt?
It was click it or ticket. You probably remember the campaign.
Right, they had somebody dedicated to
Yeah.
looking for that, so it's only serves to reason that they'd have more tickets.
Well,
Oh, so you don't get the grant money, so they don't look.
I think the program is simply over.
So there's no incentive to,
Nobody doesn't have a person to dedicate to that. And
No, nobody's telling you not to wear your seatbelt, Donna. It's just that this whole financial incentive package for seatbelt enforcement isn't there.
I don't have the grant money for it anymore.
The private detail is almost doubled from 8,000 to 15,000 for the police.
Yes.
Fish Road.
Is there expected road work or
Where do you see
something?
There's a couple, there are a few different factors. So this is police details. The town gets a share of every detail.
Private
Sorry, I
detail.
just stole
Oh, that's
that.
fire.
That's fine.
Police, right
That's
here.
fine, I can see it here.
The town gets a share of every detail. Our share is calculated as a percentage. So the more details we do, we get more revenue. And this year, we negotiated a fairly substantial increase in the detail rate.
So we're expecting more projects or?
More projects, and we will be billing more to the private sector for that activity. So since we get a percentage,
Direct traffic.
we have two different positive forces pushing that number up.
Is that because of the Fish Road, that was being done, or you're expecting?
Well, this is next year's budget.
This is for next year,
Yeah.
but so far, we've gone over what we,
No, we were talking this year, right? This year's
eight
The
thousand.
actual is
It's
more than what was budgeted, what
Yes,
was
right.
forecasted.
It's more than double.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like a
Fish Road, it's
function.
probably Fish Road because that was 3
Really
months
low,
of,
yeah.
and there was 3 or 4 officers.
You're looking at
there.
budget to actuals, it is Fish Road.
So-
Right now, yeah,
Yeah.
budget to actual, for $10,000, we've brought in $10,000 more.
Well, I
It's
get-
been a bill collection nightmare for the chief, but yes.
Well, what I'm trying to get a handle on, if we budgeted for this current fiscal year 8,000, and so far through the end of January, we've received 18,000,
Mhm.
collected 18,000.
Isn't you gonna buy the car with that extra money?
So we are projecting for next year 15,000. Is that a function of higher percentages and more projects, or is it?
Most of that percentage, because we went up,
Where's that projection? The 15.
15 is
It's
what
what's in the
forecast is
spreadsheet.
for
They're
2017.
supposed to finish recapping the Fish Road in the fall or something, anyway, they haven't finished with that road yet.
Oh, they haven't?
So when they do that, I made.
that's the number of details, but we did give them a big bump in the detail rate in the new contract. They get a substantial
So who pays that?
change. The contractor, because we get an admin fee for administering the details.
Police chief says he was having a nightmare trying to collect it, but he is collecting it.
So is the 15,000 conservative?
No, it's not overly conservative.
It's not overly aggressive?
It's not overly aggressive.
It's just right.
Tom's always happy to be Goldilocks,
Before you,
especially on St. Patty's Day.
before you came in, we were discussing the impact fees, the building permits, inspection fees, et cetera. In the light of, Dave Perry came in and was talking about planner and so forth, and gave us a list of projects approved but not recorded. We were just wondering if the building inspector had looked at these fees and agreed with them in the light of what this entails.
Yes, he did, because we had a conversation at your last meeting about, one of the figures was 54,000, and I said I didn't really subscribe to that number, and I still really don't. I'm happy to revise it upward, actually. But I do have an explanation for how we got that number. So, the department took the last 8 months of income, divided it by 8, and then multiplied that number times 12 to project the future. Now, if you look back a couple of years ago, that inspection fee line, we were at 60,000, now this year we're around 83,000, but they're only projecting 57, sorry. It's a little low, and I would be more comfortable seeing
So
it
it's-
closer to 60,
So it's
65.
an annualized number based on the past 8 months of activity?
Which is objectionable to me because this is the busy part of the year.
Yeah.
So we're underestimating what we should bump that up.
Yeah.
I think, inspection fees, I really think that should, particularly,
To what, 65, you're thinking?
Yes. It's not a lot, but I think it's a better
Which
number.
account are we talking about?
Building inspection fees.
4677.
That's what I thought, okay.
And then the other part of the discussion that we were having before you came in was the impact fees, the development impact fees.
Right.
At this current fiscal year, we're projecting 65,560. Through the end of January, collected 20,860. And then we're projecting for next year 35,760. So it's getting cut in half.
Mhm.
But as Ms. Durfee pointed out, with the list of,
Yeah, it may be not
Right, that's,
timely, but it just raises questions as to the accuracy, so.
yeah, that's the whole universe. When we start talking about will we actually collect the impact fee, I think we have to pare that down to where we actually see activity. So on Boogamarsh Road, you see, there's a road in, one house is up already with Mr. Harkins. I would expect him to finish building out at least a few of those homes. If the developer at Plantation Drive can get out of his own way, he might be able to finish a few more homes there.
And you don't get this until the certificate of occupancy, until they're done.
Pretty sure that's how we do it. Because you got to sell the house to calculate the fee, I believe.
so how do we resolve that impact fees? How do we get comfortable with that number?
I don't know that you can, because you're relying, when we do these estimates, we're relying upon some guesstimate based on the real estate market, the permits we know we have in the pipeline right now, and the subdivision applications we have in the pipeline right now, assuming they would get approved and construction would begin during the fiscal year in question. So,
So unlike the building inspecting fees, this number includes this information, the
Yeah.
projected developments.
it should, yes.
Well, it should or does it?
I'm going to say it does because they moved it up. So everything should move together. Permit fees, inspection fees, and impact fees should all be moving in the same direction.
They're not.
Well, that permit fee thing, I think, was a little bit.
Well,
I mean,
impact fees have been cut in
inspection
half.
fee.
Yeah, right.
Inspection fees are lower and building
Lower by a
permits
third,
are
and
up.
Yeah.
So you're right, they all should move together,
Yeah.
but some
That wrecks
kind
your
of similar
theory.
factor.
If anything were to deviate from the pattern, it would be impact fees because it's at the different part of the process. But permit fees should definitely drive inspection fees. They should be moving at least in the same direction.
Nada. And they wouldn't be if you
Maybe they're
increase
not
the fees
finishing
to
them.
65. If you increase that 57 to 65,000,
But couldn't that just mean that they're not at a point even to be inspected yet? They
Well,
pulled a permit, but they
Yeah.
haven't.
Rather than have us speculate.
exactly.
If you want to kick it back to Neil, I did review this once with him already, and he kind of ended up where he started.
Well, if
Yeah.
But-
you're two-thirds of the way through the year, you've got,
I'd just give him a copy of this and say,
interesting.
is there any reason to change? People have raised the question.
That,
Yeah.
that the
never-
inspection.
I'm gonna go well beyond that, actually. I really just I'm gonna have to go back to him and say, you gotta show me how many you think are gonna be built, what the permits are likely to be. I don't like speculating like
So
this.
do I change this number, the inspection fee projected?
No, we're not going to change anything right now.
No,
Well,
so,
No, not until we,
so it's a fair
Not for
thing to just
projection.
wrap this up so we can move on.
Yeah.
That you're gonna come back to us with a solid statement or whatever. You're gonna be comfortable saying that impact fees, building permits, and inspection fees have taken this development into account and are X-ish factor in the revenues. That they're not entirely based on 8 months annualized.
Right.
That would be helpful.
just as a way of increasing the revenues? The revenue, projected revenue amount, because the busy time's coming up, is that the point you're making?
I'm not talking about increasing, decreasing. I want to be comfortable
Just
with
want to know the number.
I want to be comfortable that it's a solid projection, not or from somewhere else.
We don't have as yet the recreation figure for the budget, or do we?
For the revenues?
Yeah, the revenue.
Yeah, I'll put them in.
So this is the
Oh,
revised.
can I ask a question about that? Because I'm doing that.
Wait, let's go back to which recreation numbers were you?
Well, maybe maybe I don't have the latest.
Are you looking for beach?
So how come the,
Yeah, camp programs, park programs, under review I have.
Oh, this is more recent.
is the,
Year to date?
So, this thing you gave
Then you
the
put the
general fund
forecast the
expense
same thing.
budget, the last one for 16-17. It doesn't list it out, it has beach salaries, beach expenses. It doesn't list anywhere camp program, park program, like.
Counselors, those going to the counselors line item. Deeper into the recreation budget. Can I see your, I'll show you which line item it is.
I'm also seeing under review on this one.
yeah,
Who has,
but the new one you put is the same figures as here.
Mr. Chair, do you have the
Directors
latest
and counselors?
revised?
So I don't understand
Revenue.
that.
So your park program
Projections.
and your camp program are paid out of that.
Well, I've got,
Yes.
It's the same as actual report under a forecast of 2017.
You have, that you have in your left hand.
Yeah.
Is that the one that came out a couple of days ago?
Well, those account numbers don't even exist.
I don't know exactly when they came
Oh,
out.
with those.
It's within the last few days.
Can you look in the last,
Those.
on the
I don't
last
know what those
I
page?
gave you the answer, Lori.
It
not
starts
listening.
with 42,
So
48.
these
I
two
just looked at his
numbers
sheet and I
are
gave you
where?
he put in the same amount as this over here. I want to ask him why.
15 and 5.
Yeah, here it's the same.
I pretty much stuck to actuals for my projections for next year. Just a little bit of change.
Yeah.
So they didn't, it was under
For
review.
the budget, actually the budget.
Oh, there was nothing there,
Okay.
but instead of being anywhere close to this, it's just this.
Forecast is same,
They
735.
changed it to the actual.
Right.
8735,
That's bizarre, but
same as the
so-
actual.
Well, I don't even have 42, 48.
And what about the park program?
The forecast fiscal year, budget for fiscal year 2016 was 5,000. Actuals are 2,500.
Yeah.
And the forecast for 2017 was the same, 2,500.
This came out, yeah.
But it's not a 5101.
Denise.
So as
Total
Mrs. Odell just,
11,235 for the forecast.
That's why I want to ask him a question when she's done. Why he
Correct.
did that.
So on the budget, or this statement dating, I should have these filled out like that, like this.
okay.
My printer is shot, so I'm reading it off the email from my phone, yeah.
So Matt,
Are you going to bring this back to order, Mr. Chairman?
Back to the recreation.
I just want to
I,
answer one person at a time, and I will.
well, we all have the same question.
Yeah.
On the new revenues, you have in the forecast the same amount as in the actual. Is that what you meant to do, and why?
Because I intend to replicate the same programs this year that we had last year.
Okay.
Does that represent a full year?
Pretty
it's
much.
half
These
of
guys don't
what-
get started until June. And we're going to get a late start this year, so I think we're going to even up.
But what is it, $2,500 for the winter program?
25,000.
2,500.
It does come under park pro, I mean, is it different? It looks like it's,
That's the expense that you're looking at, right?
yeah, but was
Park
that?
program is different than the winter.
Oh, Nancy, are you trying to compare revenue estimates to the expense budget? That's why your account numbers would be different.
No, I just, when I was No,
Matt,
I wasn't.
can I ask you, how close do you think Dave Robert is to valuing the assets of this town?
Not close.
Is that
Huh.
close? When-
How did I know that was that?
It's not his fault. He's interacting with Vision,
Yeah.
which is a monopoly, and therefore,
I know, I mean, projecting though, when,
he's trying. I mean,
No, I
I've
know,
gotten the
yeah,
updates from him, where he is, what he's expecting to have happen next. He's painfully aware that this committee really wants to, yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
it's kind of a critical number.
it's the number.
Well, not the number, but it certainly is important. All right, so we're gonna hear back on the building stuff? And
Yes,
is
I have it
everyone
written down.
else happy with, are we ready to move on, is what I'm asking?
I think we're ready to move on.
The only thing I'm going to ask, I will flag this, Mr. Chairman, for your committee, on the revenue side. If you noted on Monday night, I asked the council for and received authorization to have one of these pointy-head geeks consulting firms value our cell tower leases for us.
Yeah.
Make sure we're not leaving money on the table. So, just want to, I may bring that revenue estimate back to you before April 8th for revision if I hear from the consultant that we should be negotiating a higher price.
That's the land rental, tower land.
Yes. So we have 3 cell towers that are a good deal more lucrative for the town of Tiverton than they are some of our neighbors. So we may actually be doing very well already, but the discrepancy was so significant, I wanted somebody to explain to me why they're worth what they're worth, or are they worth more?
Okay.
So,
So you'll get back.
yeah, so I'm comfortable with how I calculated that $210-something thousand for cell, 217.
217,885.
Based on the leases that are currently in place, that is more or less exactly what we're going to get. What I'm looking for is, can I get a little bit more on the renewal of the cell tower at the industrial park?
Okay, so we need to go back to capital now?
Hold on, I'm sorry. Yes.
You're killing me.
Well, that was the first agenda item.
Would you like to stay with this?
What's that? I am now so thoroughly immersed in this document, I'll do anything you want to, Mr. Chairman. Well, not anything. Because you're making me nervous. You're Susan, you're dressed in green, so you're already off the map.
Okay.
Capital?
Shall we
Is
go
it-
back to agenda item 2 and to discuss capital planning and budgeting?
Yes,
Okay.
it's all agenda item 2, so.
Yeah. 2A.
Now, I guess I was under the impression we were going to have a broader capital discussion.
Yes, we are. So here's what I'm going to suggest. May we please take a 10-minute recess so I can run into my office, provided I brought my keys with me, and I think I did, and get the documents that I prepared for this committee so that we can follow along together.
Yeah, that would be great.
Need to make a copy of this for Laura. Yeah.
Can I make one for me too, please?